Shabbat Shalom. Well, last week I spoke about us having the ability to be willing to decide how we behave. The ability to be willing to make a decision about how we behave. And I said, and here I'll quote, I decide to love rather than to hate, to speak kindness rather than to insult. Well, it wasn't long after that I put my foot in my mouth and I hurt somebody's feelings. I have to acknowledge that I can hurt people by the way I speak. I don't mean to, and I'm continuously trying to put boundaries on my tongue. It's not easy, especially for an Ashkenazi Jew who comes from a family like mine. Parents, not many here today, but parents, my advice to you is to teach your children to put boundaries on their mouth when they're young. It gets much harder later on. Rabbi always says that one day they were going to write one word on my gravestone. Oops. It's hard to remember that every time I speak. I'm accountable for my words, for they will always come back to hit me in the face. A lot of people think of the things that I say, but they have better filters, so they don't say them out loud. I know that when I'm confronted, I will always listen, and I will spend time and examine the issue. If I'm wrong, I will say that I'm truly sorry, that it's never my intention to hurt anyone. I think it's a mixture of having been raised, as Miriam says, in a Jewish forest, together with my D personality. When I learn from someone else that I've offended someone, I go into a deep state of sorrow and beg God to help me feel better, help me do better next time. But I'm sad that the person I've offended didn't tell me to my face, and that I have to find out from someone else. Then it makes me paranoid, and I begin to doubt everything. That's when I need to remind myself that I am an imperfect female with a very big personality and a very large mouth that can be used for good or for harm. God gave it to me. I make my living from it. I'm still learning how to wield it. It's like a sword. My intention is to use it for good. If I become a little better each day, then by the time I'm ready to die, I will have improved a little. In the meantime, I sincerely ask anyone who I may have hurt with my words or my actions to forgive me. Please don't put on a facade with me. Just be direct. If I can't take it, I'll let you know. But this will help me to grow. The thing that makes me glad is that our God is a God of beginning again. And it doesn't matter how much I fail or how far I fall, He always picks me up and reminds me that I'm His child. I'm so glad that He hasn't finished working with me. So maybe when I'm finally laid to rest, instead of oops, it will be well done, good and faithful servant. So what does all this have to do with this week's Torah portion, Tetzaveh? As I was reading it, it seemed to me, that the Borei Olam was dealing with the fine details of the inside decor of the Mishkan. I believe that's what I'm having to do, to deal with the fine details, the fine points of my inner being. It's a continuous process dealing with ourselves and all our idiosyncrasies. Some of them enhance us, and some of them need to be improved. Now, Aaron's 4 sons were brought into this process, and the things that he learned would be passed on to the next generation. Aaron and his sons needed to place their hands upon the head of the bull that was brought to be offered before Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh and put its blood on the altar. It reminded me of the saying in English, we need to take the bull by the horns. I don't know if this is where it comes from, but to me it means taking the bull by the horn means that we are to deal with a difficult situation in a very direct way. That's what the Torah wants us to do, and it's not easy. It takes courage to look within, but it's well worth it. Lately, there are so many issues going on in the world, but very few are dealing with them head on. It's a little bit like what I see going on with the coronavirus. Everybody is hysterical about it. They're making everyone crazy about it. And yet nobody is looking at the true issue of what's really going on behind that virus. And I won't speak about it now because it'll take too long. I'm also learning to speak up when so few around me are afraid to say what they really think. Perhaps it's not so bad after all to get into trouble if that's what it takes for the truth to be spoken. Truth hurts, and very few people like to hear it. What I really need to do is to be sure that I am speaking truth. I've been in this process all my life, but especially for the past 30 years when I came back to God, and believe me, although it gets easier, it's still a painful process. Now this bull was cut into pieces and burnt whole upon the altar. It was a burnt offering for Yud He Vav He. It was a sweet savor. So I guess that it is a sweet savor to God when we finally have gone through being cut up into little pieces inside, and we make it through to begin another day stronger than the day before, when we have not given up but keep going on. These offerings were done 7 days in a row, and that meant to me that we never walk away from the Creator, but have to face Him 7 days a week. We were called to be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation, Mamlechet HaKohanim v'Goy Kadosh. That's such a huge responsibility. To me, it is a daunting task, and I fail in some way every single day. People ask, why would God have chosen Aaron to be the first high priest? He was wishy-washy. He couldn't control his own sons. He failed big time. Yet he was chosen by the Borei Olam to lead the Israelites in their spiritual lives. To tell you the truth, that's a huge relief for me, because I also fail big time. I can see how God used me in His daily life, and it humbles me. When we look at ourselves and wonder how God can use us, think of Aaron. We know deep down who we really are. We may put up a good front for others, but we can't fool God. The great thing is that we don't have to fool God, and we don't need really to fool anyone. We just need to be ourselves and every day give Him whoever we are, and He will use us as we are and help us to be better people who make this world a better place. Shabbat Shalom.